a long slog. To win it back-to-back, it's hard to overstate the extent of that achievement if Biado could do it today.
Yeah, that's right, Michael. Can he do it? Can he add his name to the list of players who have done it and said at the beginning of the show, you know, I think it's just one of them things where you don't think it's possible, but all of a sudden you find yourself in this position that he's in now and you start thinking about it. But is it Sanchez's time to win the big major? He's put himself in a lot of good positions this season. He really has. You would think at some point he's going to break through.
I said yesterday, I don't think I've ever seen anyone as happy at any pool tournament as Francisco Sanchez Ruiz was the other day when he was told the maths had all been done and that quest he's been on all year to claim his Mosconi Cup debut had come to a successful conclusion. What a week it would be in his life if he could finish it as US Open champion as well and take that title with him to Las Vegas to face the American team.
Well, it looks like you can see the potting angle. If you can, I don't think you can avoid contacting the pink 4.
Stop the clock, please. Can we reset the clock on 30 seconds, please?
Yeah, that is being said by Marcel Eckhart because there was a disturbance coming from somewhere in the hall. Crowd will gradually build as the day goes on. We know it's a sellout for the final later.
Yeah, it's still early here. It's 10 AM and I'm sure one or two of the fans was out late last night having a few cheeky drinks, so I'm sure they'll start to spill in. I mean, it's probably 70% filled at the minute.
I think this is still regarded as early morning here in Atlantic City, 10 AM. Very much a place for the night owls. But it was wonderful last night, just a sea of people when we had quarterfinals going on 2 tables at once. The SVB Junior Open final was going on at the same time, and this place was absolutely heaving around all 3 matches.
Showing a bit of patience here, you know, he took his medicine on the 2 ball, left himself long, and then he's not tried to do anything over the top there. You know, a lot of players would try and get closer to this 4 ball, but he realises it's the first rack. You know, you're not queuing as nice as you would have liked to in the first rack, so I think he's showing good signs of patience here. Many a pool player, you know, you try and push the boat out a bit too far in the opening rack and, you know, he could have rattled that ball trying to draw back and next thing you know, you're 3-0 down, so I like this thought process from Sanchez.
Carlo Biado, 38 years of age, one of 11 players to have won this title and the World Championship, the 2 biggest individual events in the sport.
That right there's a Filipino pool player. Maybe he would have liked to get the hook here, but the way you just kicked the 4 ball off the other side rail and up towards the top rail as a kick safe just shows you what they're about. Trying to get the cue ball over towards that brown 7. He's done a fine job. Maybe Carlo will be going airborne here. If he can swerve round the ball and hit the rail first, possibly that's an option, but I think with him vanishing off our screen, he's gone getting his jump cue. First rack. Carlo's going airborne.
Extension, please.
Cue ball he's going to be coming over towards the 9 and the 8 if he pots the 4 ball. Well, it was a good effort, wasn't it? It only just rattled, and the cue ball hit the 9, and this is the first really good chance here for Sanchez. Watch the 4 ball here, just rattles in the pocket. You can just see to the right of Carlo there, the fans are all congregating in that little corner. Security will have just held them off until after this rack.
Yeah, you may have seen David Al-Qaedi there. Francisco Sanchez Ruiz, great friend and of course World Cup winning partner with Spain this year, sitting in the front row. To his right as we look at it at the moment.
Albin Ocean, Shane Van Bonen, Joshua Filler. Arguably the other 3 players who have had a fantastic season, but this man right here, what a season he's having, and it could get a whole lot better. If he wins this match, he goes to world #1. He's in the final of the US Open, and he's in the Mosconi Cup team.
Well, that's it. It's already the best year of his career, and now everything else is bonus territory.
That's okay, he couldn't really get closer to the 7. He played it right on the spin, but the spin almost loses off a rail on these TV tables. It doesn't bite the same. You have to play a different game under these lights.
Yeah, and we had reason to reflect on that last night with Si Chia Chen, who just couldn't adjust to it at all. And that 10-0 defeat to Carlo Biado.
Albin Ocean and Max Lechner have just walked right across our comm box. Obviously Max is going to practice before his semi-final.
And in this semi-final, Francisco Sanchez Ruiz takes the opening rack. Biado backed into a corner, took out the jump cue. Before this big match, we spoke to the man from Spain.
It's an amazing feeling. I think last year I finished 9th place. A couple of years ago I finished 5th place. So now I'm in the semi-final. I have a good opportunity to win. I think I'm much better now than the last year, but everything can happen. We are playing with the best on the world, so let's see. Carlo is the defending champion, also world champion. He's one of the best players in the world, but you know, I believe in my game, so I don't know what I play. I think 2 times with him. 1 time he beat me, and 1 time I beat him. So that's a different venue, different tournament. But let's see what happens. But I give everything.
As he always does. But there are always questions about his ability to cross the line on big occasions, so that will obviously come into play if he gets close to it here, and particularly so in the final, should he get there later today. It was interesting to see Lechner and Ocean walking together. They are great friends, and it looked as though they were going off to
Extension, please.
Looks like Carlo is looking at just going past the 7, drawing the cue ball into the 2. Could pot it in the top right corner.
Foul stroke.
Oh, he's scratched, so that just shows you another good safety shot from Sanchez has paid off.
And please start the clock.
Biado already meeting with more resistance in this match than he did in the entirety of his quarter-final last night. By the time it got to about 5 or maybe 6-0, it was just basically impossible, or as close to impossible as you can get, to imagine Si Chia Chen coming back. He was all at sea. been talking all year about the new Nineball World Rankings system. Players have been accumulating points since the very beginning of the year. And once we get to the end of 2022, we'll have our first full year points-based ranking list. And Shane Van Boning, world champion, arrived here at #1 in the live standings. Well, he went out in the last 64, beaten by Alex Kazakis, so not many points. And that opened the door for a number of players to overtake him. Sanchez Ruiz, the only one of those still standing. And he doesn't need to win the title. If he gets to the final, he will just edge ahead of Van Boning and will be at #1 with only 2 counting events to come this year. Of course, if he did go on and win the title, then he'd be set to hold on to it right through to the end of 2022. So big would be his lead then.
Previous shot, he just didn't get enough angle on that 7, so he couldn't get back out into the centre of the table. This is why the cue ball is there, and this is why he's got a little thin one. The 9 ball's in a good spot though, so just make sure you pop the ball and make sure the cue ball doesn't scratch. But looks like it's going to. Looks like the cue ball's going to come back round and finish near where his bridge hand is now. Well, it's actually come a little longer, so still okay. You're going into such a nice big pocket at this angle, so he will know that. As long as you play this into the rail, it should always slide in.
All going to plan. Very confident looking start from the Spaniard. He leads the defending champ 2-0. Now, we've heard from Francisco Sanchez Ruiz. Let's get the thoughts of his opponent.
I know how I feel the pressure in this kind of prestigious event, so I just enjoying the game because I like this game, you know. That's a good match between Francisco, so I hope I play well. If I win, this is a wonderful gift this coming October, because this October is my birthday and end of October, so I hope I'm gonna win this tournament.
Just has such a nice manner about him, such an unassuming, modest fellow, Carl.
Yeah, that seems to be the Filipino way, doesn't it?
Thank you, the third rack. Francisco Sanchez Ruiz is leading the match 2-0 and will break.
Early stages of what's going to be a very long day here in Atlantic City. 2 semi-finals back-to-back, and then the race to 13 final later today. It started well for Francisco Sanchez Ruiz.
Well, this time he didn't pop the one, did it? He hit the point. But the main thing for Francisco is he can pop this one ball. He's got a shot at it. When he goes forward with the cue ball, he'd like to put a bit of right and spin on this. That would get him to come back down the middle of the table, but I think the 7 ball looks to be in the natural path of the cue ball. Yeah, so he played it with a touch of left to come inside of it and just leave himself a shot on the 2.
would be appropriate if he was to finish at number 1 on the first full year-end Nineball World Rankings, because he won the very first event to count towards the new system, the Derby City Classic, right at the beginning of the year. And that really set the tone for 22 from him.
I think he's going to need the rest here, the bridge. Also, can he draw the cue ball straight back, or is that going to draw him to the 8? Well, he thinks he can reach him. I mean, you're not that tall, buddy. Definitely going to need the bridge for this one. Looks like there's a bit of an angle there, doesn't it? So it's difficult one to see this. Ideally, he draws it straight back. Yeah, he's drawn it into the 8. It always looked like there was a bit of an angle there. Well, decision time. Does he play the bank? Or does he keep doing what he's been doing in the opening 2 racks? He's showed patience, he's played the right shot, the safety shot, and that seems to be working. Can he find a good one here? He may be tempted for the bank though. Well, he was tempted with a bank. Is he going to get away with it? Not really. He has left a shot, but... So the opening 2 racks, he decided to play defensive. In the 3rd rack, he's gone attack mode. Always feel like it's a big rack, Michael, don't you? That I know people say the 2nd rack, but I always feel like it's the 3rd rack, because if you go 3 up or 2-1, Carlo feels like he's back in the match. But at 3-0, you think, oh, this is not far from slipping away, this one.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Might not seem like much when it's a race to 11 particularly, but you're absolutely right. 3-0 starts to feel like a big deficit to overturn.
Nice shot there from Biado. Looked easy, but when you're behind them, they feel awkward on the eyes. Starts to play tricks with the brain.
Carlo Biado spoke to me before the match to see if we could arrange to have Eye of the Tiger playing as he walked into the arena, and he was a little late to arrange it. I told him that if he gets to the final, we can possibly do it then. And he certainly had a rocky start to this match. Was 2-0 down. Looked like it might go 3. But Sanchez Ruiz faltered on the 6. Biado produced an excellent pot on that ball and did the rest from there. He's off and running in this semi-final. He now trails 2-1. Early stages of what's going to be a really long day here at Harrah's Resort and Casino in Atlantic City, New Jersey, on the east coast of the United States of America. 2 semi-finals and then the US Open final. Last year, it was Carlo Biado's success. He beat Lucius Yap of Singapore in the final. And he's 2 wins away from a successful title defence. 2-1 down at the moment against Francisco Sanchez Ruiz. Very different story to his 10-0 win over Si Cha Chen last night. Francisco Sanchez Ruiz beat Alex Kazakis 10-8. Also 10-8 for Ko Ping Chung against Declan Kachi, who had gone in such good form. And Ko will be playing Max Lechner, who, if he wins that match and the final, will secure a place on the European Mosconi Cup team for the first time. So all sorts of subplots going on here. But of course, the main story is who's going to be left holding that Barry Berman trophy tonight.
Okay, Carlo. Thank you to the fourth rack. Carlo Biado to break, trailing by 2 racks to 1.
First look at Biado's break in this match.
That'll work out nicely for the opening shot, but he has got problems on the blue too. Both players on, well, Carlo then and then Sanchez on the previous breaks have not made the 1 ball in the side, so that just shows you that they're still trying to get in the groove with that. Carlo's got a possible 2-3 combination. You'd want to be dead straight on that combo though, because there's distance between the balls, and the 3 is not over the pocket, so he's not dead straight. Position will be automatic because he can just drop that cue ball onto the pink 4 ball, but it's sighting the combo where it can go wrong. Looks dead easy, that, doesn't it? Well, he's lost the cue ball a little bit. I think he just played it that way because he felt like that was the way he's guaranteed to make the combo. Some players may have just flicked into the 4 ball.
We know there are new people coming to Nineball pool all the time, so basically you've always got to hit the lowest numbered ball remaining on the table first, but so long as you do that, as we saw there, any pot is valid and keeps you at the table.
I'm not sure if the 4 passes the 9, but he did well there. He played the 2 off the jaw and took a risk because it was so thin. To pot the 2 ball in the centre pocket, the cue ball would have been running up the table. So he took a gamble. Does this 4 ball pass the 9? Well, he's having a go. I think it goes off the left edge. Oh, okay. Carlo Biado with the mistake.
Yeah, he clearly thought it went as well, but absolutely careered into the 9. And obviously in that situation he had no idea where the balls were going to go if he missed.
This will go in the side. I think if you just pot the ball, the cue ball will go in the corner, so he needs to do something. He needs to pot it thin.
Extension called.
To avoid the scratch, or he needs to dig down in the cue ball. This looks shy of pace. It is shy, isn't it? He's landed way too short there. Yeah, I mean, he can still cut the ball in, but he's going to have to play it with right hand spin to try and get the cue ball back up somewhere. This is a thin one. funny one, isn't it? Every time you play a bad positional shot, the cue ball just starts to chase and you never quite land on your next ball. I mean, one of the outside tables, that ball might have stayed up as well. So it's the safety shot. Oh, has he got the cue ball in behind the 9? It's going close, you know. It's going close. He has. He's got the cue ball touching the 9. And he got a good 6 ball. Well, there's the top of the cue from Biado. It was a good shot. He's got to go 2 rails. This is horrible. 2 rails, kick the 6 and try and leave the cue ball there. He's not a big favourite to pull this one off. That was the problem, because he didn't hit it full. The cue ball moved away from the 6, and this is why he's left the pot. Them shots are just so hard. Chance number 2 for Ruiz.
Bringing together all aspects of the game very impressively at the moment. It really showed there. And Francisco Sanchez Ruiz is 2 clear again at 3-1. Carl, you've been on a run to the final of this US Open 7 years ago. Tell us about it.
Well, yeah, it was a long time ago, 7 years. That's gone quick. It was at the old venue, Virginia. Barry Berman, who the trophy is named after. He was the promoter. Although you can see Sanchez's route to the semi-finals.
Yeah, came through on the winner's side. But as you can see, he's had a couple of hill finishes along the way. Jere Virtaranta of Finland early on went close against him. Woo Kun Lin in the last 32. Impressive wins as well. 9-1 against Janiuski was a very good result.
Francisco Sanchez Ruiz is leading 3-1 and will break.
But how are you feeling going into the final against Kevin Cheng? Were you confident it was going to be your day?
I don't really know. I don't think it was a case of, oh, it's going to be my day. You always go onto a pool table not really knowing what's going to happen, and obviously it's a game where you can't really predict things. You know, when you break the balls, you don't know where the balls are going to go. You just try and do everything in your power to do things right, not make silly mistakes. But I remember Kevin Cheng, I think he run a 4-pack when we're not getting a shot, and then I think he run a 5-pack.
Make sure the phones are switched off, please.
So
Thank you.
I felt like I didn't really take part in the final. I think I missed an 8 ball early on, and that was really it. That's why the start of the matches are always key. You've got to, you know, if you get these chances, you've got to take them. Sanchez is 3-1 up. The only rack he's lost is the one where he decided to play the bank and not the safety. So safety's working for him in this semi-final so far. He's got a shot of the 2 here, so this is a chance. Needs to control the cue ball. May have to play 3 rails actually to get back on this 3 ball. He's either going to go 2 rails and play for the 3 in the corner, or can he go 3 rails for the 3 in the side? He's got to miss the 7 ball if that's the case. Now he's looking at playing 1 rail and bumping into the 9. He could play that shot, and he could play it at a pace where if he misses the 9, he lands on the 3 in the corner past the pink 4. Sorry, Michael, this is just the pool player in me coming out.
That's what you're here for, Carl.
well, he's played the 3 railer, and I thought he'd missed the 2, but look at that for a positional shot. That is nice. That's a couple of balls now where he's not potted them clean. The slide has been his friend so far.
Not had a run out from the break for either player in this match yet. Particularly in a race to 11, much too early for there to be any cause for alarm for Carlo Biado. He's getting to the point now where he can't let his opponent get too much further ahead. In this rack, though, there was nothing he could do about it. Sanchez Ruiz is 3 clear now at 4 racks to 1. So we've seen his route to the final. How did Carlo Biado get here? The semi-final, rather. He hopes it'll ultimately be his route to the final. I know he won his first 2 matches very comfortably, only lost a total of 2 racks, but then was beaten by Jovan Bustamante in winners' qualification, so he was sent to the 1-loss side just as he was last year on his way to the title. And then difficult enough matches against Chen Chiahua, Petri Makinen, and particularly Naoyuki Oi, who he had beaten in the semi-finals last year. Came through them all, and then Konrad Yasuchin, one of the very strong Polish contingent, really put it up to him in the last 16. Si Chia Chen did anything but. It was an absolute landslide.
To break, leading by 4 racks to 1.
As I was saying, I think we all knew several racks from the end there was only going to be one outcome. It was just a question of whether or not the whitewash could be averted. In the end, it wasn't. So back to today's play, and all going this man's way at the moment.
That was a better break, wasn't it? It was the cue ball. That was better. Come back off the rail into the 9. Carlo has got good memories from last year's semi-final. He was trailing big in last year's semi-final, so he can sit in his chair and think, I've been here before, I've done it.
Yeah, Sanchez Ruiz is building up a good record here in Atlantic City since the US Open moved here. He got to the last 16 last year. Was beaten by Naoyuki Oi. The last time we saw him at this stage of one of these big field, high-profile open events was at the UK Open at the Copper Box in London towards the end of May. He was playing no less a figure than Shane Van Boening, who had just won the World Championship a few weeks earlier, and he started like this, looking confident, things falling his way, and just never let go and won comfortably in the end.
Extension, please.
Been so many moments like that for him in 2022 that have greatly enhanced the belief that you just sometimes feel he's lacking that little bit of.
This is awkward, this, because even if he gets over to the opposite side of the table, when he puts the pink, Yeah, so that's why he's played it with a running spin. That's a nice shot. That is a very good shot. He couldn't go the other way because he knew if he'd have potted the pink 4 in the same corner as the 3, the cue ball was going into the 8. He's looking good here, he's Ruiz. And he likes these games where he's got a lead. He's a good front runner. He really starts to relax.
Yeah, and that was what we saw in that UK semi-final against Van Boning. It was his more experienced opponent who got more frustrated as the match went on, and Sanchez Ruiz looked very comfortable with what he might be about to achieve there. Was ultimately beaten by Joshua Filler in the final. Carlo Biado mentioned in his interview it's his birthday soon. It actually falls on Halloween. And he might be starting to get a bit scared about how this semi-final is going. Francisco Sanchez Ruiz with 2 very dominant racks there. It's 5-1. pool for the first time. But this would top that, surely, if he could become champion here today. He will become #1 in the rankings if he even gets to the final. So much on the line for him. He's rising to the challenge very nicely just now.
Yeah, we just seen the stats, didn't we? Not really much to pull apart. I think the biggest stat, or the biggest moment in the match so far, was when Carlo tried to pot that ball past the 9. It was very tight. He crashed into the 9, and since then he's been a bit of a spectator. But he's back out of his chair. It's a dry break. Sanchez has not had many dry breaks, has he, from what we've seen so far, Michael, from his TV performances?
It's his first of this match, and we saw the break and run stat was 40%. He had run out from the break the last couple of racks, but that run ends now.
The game of 9-ball, sometimes you need help. Well, you always need help, but that's not the best of shots. Well, saying that, he's fine. What are you talking about, Cal? Just come down the table for the pink 4. It's all about the green 6, though. If that passes the 9, that is okay. If it doesn't, oh, well, that wobbled in, didn't it? So maybe he did have a steeper angle than he would have liked.
Yeah, and you could see he had an anxious half second or so where he just froze in time.
From that angle there, it doesn't look like that 6 ball passes the 9. It may well go off the rail first, but it's one of them where it's hard to tell from here. This is what I was saying about the game. Sometimes you need the game to help you. You need the balls to split okay. Carlo needs it more than anyone. You know, he has called extension. Well, he's going to need a little bit of form here, because once he pots this ball, he's going into the 9. The 8 ball is blocking the corner pocket, so that may stop Carlo potting the 6. Well, does this drop into the middle? I don't know if it does, you know, Michael. You may have to play the cross bank. Listen, he's got a better view than anyone, of course he has, but it just looks so tight. I mean, look at the overhead. I don't think that pot's in the middle. I think he's got to play the cross corner bank, the cross side bank, rather. He's going to bank this 6 into the opposite middle.
Well, that angle there looks particularly conclusive. Away that goes.
This is a big shot. Cross bank. It's there. Where's the cue ball going? Where's the cue ball going? The defending champion is not going to roll over just yet.
This is the challenge of the game, isn't it? He's just pulled off a good shot there on the 6 with the cross bank. Then he has to steel himself again for a 7 that you would expect him to pot every time, but still a bit of pressure on it. It's just unrelenting in a match like this where, you know, make a mistake, you could be sitting down for the next few racks. He was in his chair for the last 2. It was given away back in here. Really, it was getting to the stage where you felt if he fell much further behind, he was starting to need a comeback for the ages.
Carlo
Still
Biado.
got quite a deficit to overturn, but he's reduced it slightly. It's now 5-2. So he added his name to a very illustrious list of former US Open champions when he prevailed here 12 months ago in Atlantic City, the first time the US Open was played here. Playing to the crowd now as more people trickle in and the place continues to fill up. Tournament was always played in Virginia from its beginnings in 1976 through to 2017 when Jason Shaw became the last British winner. And there you see Shane Van Boening with that 3 in a row, 2012, 13 and 14. Darren Appleton, Mika Immonen, other players who've successfully defended it. And going back much further than that graphic, Nick Varner, back in 1990, was the first player to go back-to-back. Van Boening, you can see there, 5 wins, 24 years of age when he first claimed the title in 2007. He's had a few attempts now.
Thank you, the 8th rec.
Winning that 6th title.
Trailing 5-2.
Which would see him overtake Earl Strickland and claim the record all for himself. Went out in the last 64, as I said. But he will still have many more chances to claim that spot in history. Wrap up the elusive half dozen. 5-2 here.
He needs help on the break. Yep, I don't think he's going to get it. Nope, he isn't. Yeah, just looking at that roll of honour there, Michael. You know, we're talking about Biado defending his title. We know it's not easy to do. This is proof it's not easy to do. But Shane Van Boening won 5 US Opens in 10 years.
Yeah, to put that another way, during that decade he won as many of them as everybody else put together. And that's at a time when there are more and more good players all the time.
Push out called. Francesco, it's your choice, please.
Well, I don't believe Francisco will pass this one back. You've got to play this one, surely. He's not really left anything tricky, I don't believe. He can just come off the edge, put the 1 up near the top, near the 6, send the cue ball around the table, try and get it near the 4. It's hard to see Francisco making a mess of this one. He's played some good safeties in this match. Yeah, here comes the cue ball. What was Carlo thinking? Literally just giving him an easy safety shot to play.
Very often with the push out, you're trying to exploit your opponent's weaknesses. And as you say, the tactical side of it has been anything but that from FSR so far in this match. So, unusual call.
Got to be careful here. He could scratch in the top right pocket if he doesn't hit this right. Well, Biado playing a strange push there. He really did. Not that I'm going to question our defending champion, but I think he made a mistake there.
And that little passage of play has all culminated in a wonderful chance for the Spaniard. Even in a long match like this, there's very often one moment you go back to and say, well, that was the key moment in the whole thing, and it's usually someone pulling out a great pot or someone missing an easy one. In this case, it may well turn out to be a decision that Biado made. When you're having a career year like Sanchez Ruiz is in 2022, you want to top it off by winning one of these two big standout events, the World Championship or the US Open. The World Championship was not good to him this year. Went out very early, last 64, beaten by the veteran former champion Torsten Homan.
He's had to send the cue ball around. This looks a little heavy. Oh, I'll say that. It's just pulled up a bit, hasn't it? Well, whenever the cue ball lands so close to an object ball, you wouldn't think you're going to leave yourself a pot, but I think he can still snip this one in. The spin just died off the rails there. Well, he's playing it with his opposite hand. Well, it actually wasn't bad, so he was fortunate there. Fortunate to leave that pot. And that's a useful tool if you can swap the hands like that. But I suppose when we look back on this rack, it wasn't that shot, it was the push out from Biado. That looks like it's going to cost him the 8th rack.
Yeah, laid down the challenge to the tactical acumen of his opponent and came off second best. A couple of shots later, this chance was presented. And the gap is going to be 4 once again. Sanchez Ruiz is already past the halfway point in his quest to get to 11 racks. He leads the defending champ 6-2 now. So elsewhere in the hall, there are practice facilities for the other players, and there you can see Max Lechner, who rarely, if ever, have played a bigger match than this. He's got his semi-final coming up against Ko Ping Chung, who we also saw in the background there. Remember, Lechner 2 wins away, not only from the US Open title, but from claiming one of the 3 automatic spots on the European Mosconi Cup team. If he does that, he'll bump his very good friend Albin Ocean out of those 3 places. Sanchez Ruiz, as we've said, is already in. Joshua Filler had clinched his place earlier in the year. So is there anything you can say, Carl, in terms of what Biado did there to suggest that there was some reasoning behind the decision he made on the push-out?
Maybe it's a little early in Atlantic City. I don't know. It was a bit of a strange one. I mean, Sanchez has played a couple of nice safety shots so far.
Francisco Sanchez Ruiz to break, leading the match by 6 racks to 2.
But where Biado rolled the ball to, there's not a pool player in this hall that wouldn't have played the exact same safety shot as Sanchez, and I'm not saying every pool player in the hall would have played it as nice as Sanchez did, but you know, this is the semi-finals.
And of course we will have that second semi-final between Lechner and Ko Ping Chung coming up live for you directly after this one.
Carlo's going to need things like this to happen though, when you trail by 4 racks. Well, saying that, is there a gap? The overhead camera always makes me feel like you can see it, and then when you look again, he's hooked.
He may be able to get through to catch some of it. But once again, he's the only one really in a position to say. He's right behind the shot.
Push out called. Carlo, it's your option.
So he couldn't see any of the ball. His turn to play a push.
US Open champion last year, as we've said. World champion 2017, beat Roland Garcia. The only time ever that it's been 2 Philippines players in the final.
Well, how about that for speed control with the cue ball? That is not easy to do or judge at all. You feel he's going to hit this ball, but where's it going to end up? He's going across. May pot it in one of the side pockets. May pot it in one of the side pockets. Ooh, close, good effort. Even though it's not gone in, I think he's got to be happy with that. Well, he can pot it in the left centre. Cue ball's going to go 3 rails. Needs to flick the 8. Oh, that's okay. That's not bad. As long as he's got a shot. He's fighting hard here, he's Carlo. He's played a great safety shot. Just needs another good shot here. Yeah, nicely done. Now he can spin the cue ball round and he's in a good spot here, he really is. Oh no, Carlo Biado. That is a big, big mistake.
The only thing in his favour here is that potting a ball and coming in and out of the jaws like this, limited control always on what the cue ball is going to do over a long distance. So that's the challenge here for Sanchez Ruiz, but if this shot goes well for him, could be 5 clear. Just because something looks like being the key moment in a match doesn't mean it's going to be, and we talked about how it turned out
Extension, please.
in the previous rack with the push-out decision that was made by Biado. If he'd won this rack, he could have put that behind him, but for now, the chance is gone.
Yeah, nicely done there. He's going to steal this rack. This is going to hurt Biado. On the replay, Biado didn't really miss it by that much, but I think it was just the pace where he wobbled a couple of times and then stayed in the deep shelf.
That wasn't an easy shot from Sanchez Ruiz, jacking up the cue like that. As I said, coming in and out of the jaws. I mean, he couldn't have asked to play it much better. And now, still plenty of work to do, but getting to the point where the winning line is at least starting to appear on the horizon. If he can finish this one off.
It's a good feeling, this, when you're playing a match and your opponent, one of the best players in the world, makes a mistake like that and you just come and take the balls he should have been.
The decisions have played a big part in this match so far. Sanchez Ruiz going for attack instead of safety in the third rack. Let Biado get off the mark. Close to 2-1, but since then, the man from Spain has won 5 out of 6. And he's really starting to disappear out of sight now. It's 7-2. Here we are in Atlantic City, venue for the US Open Pool Championship for the second year in a row. So much to see and do here. And we've spent our week indoors at Harrah's Resort. One of the big questions is whether Carlo Biado can retain his title. Not looking likely at the moment because he's 7-2 down against Francisco Sanchez Ruiz. The other semi-final will be coming up immediately after this one. Max Lechner of Austria taking on Ko Ping Chung. And that will be following on, perhaps quite swiftly, because Sanchez Ruiz is very much on top here and he only needs 4 more racks.
Thank you, it's rack 10.
It's been close to the US Open final before. It was a different format back in 2017. Double elimination all the way through, basically. He lost in the winners' round final to Jason Shaw. Still had another chance. Went over to the one-loss side. If he'd beaten Eklund Kachi, that would have taken him into the final, but he lost that one as well. So he's been very close as this, in fact, to a US Open final in the past.
Second dry break of the match, I believe. But it's not so much about the dry break, it's where the balls end up, and I don't know if Carlo can pot this ball.
Yeah, you are correct. Second dry break. 2 out of his last 3, though.
No, he couldn't pot it.
When the new world ranking system was announced, Carl, and we all speculated who would be the first official year-end #1. We all thought it would be someone like Albin Ocean, Shane Van Boning, Joshua Filler. With all due respect to Francisco Sanchez Ruiz, I don't think he would have been in the conversation, but as we've said, he can go to #1 in the live standings with just 2 events to go if he wins this match, and then give himself an enormous lead if he was to go on and win the final. It would be a huge feather in his cap to get there ahead of all those other guys. But he will have earned it if he does. It's such a consistent year as much as anything else. Started playing well back in January and really never let up for any significant length of time.
Nice shot there from Carlo, kick safe, played it to perfection. He's not done just yet, but you feel like he's going to run out of time, don't you?
And as you can hear, the atmosphere really starting to build. We're going to have a full house for the final later today. This event has really been a huge Matchroom success story, another one since they took over the staging of it from the 2019 edition in Las Vegas onwards.
Well, he nearly got the jump safe, didn't he? Nearly snuck in behind the 8. He played it that way. It was all about the distance. He knows he's just got to keep the pressure on. Don't do anything silly. Make Carlo play shots, difficult shots. Yeah, the crowd has built up now. Both the left side of the arena and the right are full. They want to see a close match. Of course they want to see a close match. Well, he didn't play the pot. Cue ball needs to hit the 3. That's okay. Well, I say it's okay. It's okay because he's not left a pot, but he can go off the side rail and hit this one ball. Got to be careful because the scratch is on.
Just looking at the setting there. This is what you've got to give people if you want them to come in numbers. Big arena setting like this. And of course, earlier in the week we had all the other tables. We had 24 of them going in the early stages of the week. So in addition to that, you've also got those early days where you can walk around and see so many of the best players in the world all in action at once. Format for these open events, with the big fields, just magnificent and a huge part of the success. 2 new events this year on this model, the European Open in Germany, the UK Open in London.
That's not bad, you know. It's just landed in that awkward little spot where you can't cut it in the middle. And if you play it up into the top corner, cue ball's not far off the scratch. I don't think he will scratch. I think he might hit the point, or just above the point. It's always difficult to tell from the overhead camera, but is he going for the point into the corner? Does he cut in the middle, actually? Well, needs some help here. He got a little bit of help, then it could have been worse.
Nine-ball pool where the winner breaks format really lends itself to situations where players can reasonably say at the end of a match, well, I never got a chance really. It was all about the other guy. But if Biado does lose this, even if it's heavily, I don't think he'll be able to say that.
Just running the cue ball up towards the 8. It was a big target. He knew the 1 ball was safe. Won't be happy with that one. That was a good chance to hook Biado. He'll try and slide this 1 ball.
"30-second shot clock in operation for these later rounds. 1 extension allowed per player in each rack.
Okay, he plays it that way. How's this ended up? Looks to be okay, doesn't it?
Well, these are huge moments in the match, aren't they, Carl? Because really, 7-2, yeah, you can turn that round, but it's at the stage now where much further than this, and really Biado is starting to look for miracles.
Well, he left Francisco the pot, didn't he? So that's why Carlo was looking not best pleased after he played the safety. Again though, these are not easy, are they? You know, you never know what the pool table gives you. That is what pool is about. That is the game. You have to play the table layout. This is what separates the best from the worst. This is a tricky layout though. And he's come over to this side of the table because he needed the angle. He couldn't land on the opposite side of the table because the cue ball would have run into the purple ball. Now he's got to get up for this 3. The 6 ball's a big ball as well. But if he does get on the 3, it just opens the rack up, doesn't it? You can see the rack opening up. This looks good. The little flick on the 6 is okay. And now the rack has opened up. 1 or 2 shots in the game of 9 ball and the rack can change. And it is doing. Carlo is slowly becoming favourite for the rack. If he wins this rack, Michael, if he can put a 2-pack together, just a 2-pack, keep Sanchez in the chair, get it to 7-5, things can start to happen then. That's all he needs. 2 break and runs.
Well, that's exactly it, isn't it? It's felt like he's really just been trying to hang on in this match. And that's fine for now, but if he keeps just hanging on, ultimately he's going to lose this and lose it comfortably. Hasn't won 2 in a row at any stage.
That wasn't his finest shot. Now he's got to play this, and you can see he's landed funny on that. The previous shot was a shocker.
You used it.
Well, he's got 5 seconds. Has he got enough spin on it? Oh, he possesses some cue power, does the defending champion.
Well, he shouldn't have put himself in that position, should have been aware of the fact that he'd used his extension. So he put himself unnecessarily under a lot of pressure, but that given, it was very impressive to stay composed enough to play a difficult shot like that.
Again, he's landed on a funny angle. He's not landed on a natural angle. If he was straight, he'd just pull the cue ball back. This looks to be drawing up near the 8 ball. Yeah, he's got to get into this ball good. He's not out yet. This is awkward. I milked it a little bit, Michael. It was all right. He cued it well. Yeah, he's took a good rack here. He's under pressure. He's 5 racks behind. It was a messy table, but he's took him. This 9 ball. The comeback is still on.
Okay, well, he really needed that one, and he was given the chance, a bit unexpectedly perhaps. 1 or 2 concerning moments along the way, but he has taken it and closed to 7-3. Barry Berman trophy on offer here, all that history for Carlo Biado, looking to go back to back. But they are professional players, don't forget, and this is what they're playing for in that sense, and you can see how quickly the money goes up when you get to this stage. They're all on $13,000 for getting this far. You practically double that for getting to the final, and then double it again, $50,000 for the winner of this US Open Championship, which has been around since 1976. It was originally played in Virginia. Mike Sigel was the first ever champion. He won just over $3,000 for that triumph. It's all come such a long way, and here we are in this wonderful arena at Harrah's Resort. This is where the game of 9-ball pool is now.
Carlo Biado to break.
Broken new ground this
Trailing
year.
by 7 racks to 3.
Think of venues like the Copper Box in London, Esperanto Hotel in Fulda. Wonderful venues that are going to be part of the game, you feel, for many years to come. It's been a wonderful year for the game. Back in the present day, Biado, 7-3 down.
Well, if he's going to stage a comeback, he's going to need a little bit more luck off the break. It was a good break. You could see the cue ball come back over into the stack. And after hitting a ball, it's come low on the table, and he will not be playing the combination. I can assure you of that. So it's going to have to be a safety shot. Just a little containing safety. You can't always play a lock-up safe where your opponent's in a world of trouble. Francisco's going to hit this ball, but Carlo just did what he had to do. He's just trying to not do anything silly now. You could tell, Michael, after the last rack, the crowd was a lot louder when Carlo won the rack as opposed to Francisco. Nothing against Francisco, but they want to see a close match. They want drama.
Extension, please.
Yeah, well, a lot of them have travelled a long way to be here. And they want to enjoy this wonderful final day of this great championship to the full.
Great shot there. Carlo's going to go rail first. Now he is good at this type of shot. Rail first to pot the 2.
Extension, please.
brilliant shot. He is one of the best in the world, if not the best in the world at that shot.
And now he has a chance to finally do something he hasn't done at any stage in this semi-final and win 2 racks in a row. And if he can do that, there will be reason to believe that this could be the start of a proper turnaround.
He's in touching distance of making something happen here. 7-2 down. He will know this. Francisco will know this. Both players will have been in this situation over the years. They'll have won tournaments from being 7-2 down. They will have lost tournaments as well.
And at times there have been questions about Sanchez Ruiz and his ability to get over the line in big situations. And there's a particular sort of pressure that comes with facing the prospect of maybe not winning a match where you were in such command and had a big lead. Biado is at least starting to ask those sort of questions now. Played another good rack here. Goes back to back for the first time in the match. It was 7-2. The scoreline has a very different feel to it now. I couldn't help feeling, as much from his body language as anything else, that early on in the match, Biado was maybe a bit weighed down by all the history that there's been so much talk about that he hasn't been able to escape from. All this speculation about whether or not he could join that very small list of players who've successfully defended the title. But the last couple of racks, better indications from him. And that was perhaps the pick of the bunch, going rail first, potting the 2, getting on the 3. And from there it all led to that simple 9-ball. To get it back to 7-4.
Yeah, I fully agree, Michael. I think, you know, taking nothing away from Francisco, I think he started the match off fantastic.
Carlo Biado to break, trailing 7-4.
And I think he played a lot of smart safety shots. He really took the game to Carlo. But I think just a few times Carlo maybe indecisive and just looked a little bit under it, rightly so. But he has a little chance now. What is he going to be faced with after this break? Needs to pot a ball, which he has. Cue ball needs to stay dry, which it is doing. Oh, the 7-ball's going to ruin. It's not going to ruin him. It goes. It's a little tricky one. It's a little thin. He's made a lot of balls as well. Has he made 3 balls? 2 balls. The 5's over the pocket. But this is a chance. It's not a guaranteed pot. It's not the type of shot where you just get down and play a stop shot. The cue ball will be travelling around the table. He's got to avoid the 9 as well. That's what he's looking at now. He's just trying to find a spot where he can miss the 9. And you don't want to be forgetting about putting the 2-ball here, because you've put all your efforts into good cue ball control. Big moment coming up, biggest shot of the match for me. He's made it. Here comes the cue ball. He's in prime location. All the balls are sat there begging. We did say if he can get back to 7-5, this will give Francisco something to think about.
hasn't run out from the break yet in this match. This will be a great time.
Just these 3 balls to have won the last 3 racks from 7-2 to 7-5, and we will be taking a break, so that means it's more time for Francisco to think about what's going on, to dwell. That adds its own little tension. This is what it all adds up to. This is what it takes to win a big title. Carlo's done it. It's there. We've got a game on. We have got a game on.
Sanchez Ruiz still has the lead. But no question where all the momentum is now. His first break and run of the match completes a run of 3 racks on the bounce for Biado. He's only 2 behind. We've got quite a finish in store here. The final day of the US Open in Atlantic City and at Harrah's Resort. There's still much more drama to come. So much to do here. So many people down on the beach. But indoors, Francisco Sanchez Ruiz is feeling the heat. He was 7-2 in front against Carlo Biado. But the man from the Philippines has just had his first break and run of the match. And that completed a run of 3 in a row to close to only 2 behind. Big questions now being asked of the man from Spain, who, remember, will go top of the live 9-ball world rankings if he wins this match and gets through to his first US Open final. And that's the sort of mood Carlo Biado is in right now. A lot of tension in his body language early on. He's looking so much happier now. I remember the huge smile with which he greeted victory over Lucius Yap in last year's final here.
Thank you to your 13th rack. Carlo Biado to break.
We always say at this stage of a rack,
7 racks to 5.
Carl, or at this stage of a match rather, this is the biggest rack so far. I think we're going to say it in every rack from here on in, with a little more emphasis each time. Looking to get back to only 1 behind.
I always feel like, well, I think this, oh, it's very thin anyway. I was just going to say, I always feel like the break, it scares me, Michael. And what I mean by that is, you know, you just don't want a pool match to be decided on an unlucky, like, scratch on the break. It always feels like it's ruined it a little bit. So whenever a player breaks, I always think, oh, please don't get kicked in off. You know, anything else after that, I just think, well, that's the game. But Carlo Biado, he's done well here. He's been under it. He's not played great. Sanchez has really took it to him. Sanchez has played great in this match. And this is a massive shot coming up. It's there. Needs this cue ball to bounce off the rail. I think that's okay. He can just pull it back now.
And we saw that last night, what you were just talking about there, when Biado was 9-0 up against Si Chia Chen. He had a golden break for a moment in the next rack, and then he scratched at the same time. Would have been quite a way to finish the match. As it turned out, he won the rack and completed the whitewash anyway. And in this match, for me, Carl, he's gone favourite now.
Oh, that's a big call. But he's back in it. Just before he played that shot, there was that... Yeah, there's a noise going on in the arena. It's as if like somebody's radio's turned on. Maybe one of the security guards has got his radio on a bit too loud, but Carlo's in the zone here. He smells the comeback. Some of the fans have left the arena during that little break. There's a couple of pop-up bars where you can get a drink, and once the bevies start flowing, they're going to get louder. They know there's a big comeback on here. He's a little bit short of pace there, though. He's got to... You think this is easy, you think this is obvious, but he's not. He's got to kill the cue ball now. Wait to be another foot over. Yeah, he's took a big deep breath. He's going to play this with a little bit of drag and a little bit of spin. Has he made it? Yeah, it's a good shot. They test the old nerve, them ones.
If you're in a race to 11, you're going to need a few break and runs along the way. He didn't have any until the previous rack. Well, this is going to be 2 in a row, it would seem.
Well, once this 9 goes in, just listen to the noise. It's getting louder in here. They can sense it. They want to see a match.
And it doesn't feel like very long ago that it was 7-2. Now it's 7-6. Well, we've said it about the issues there have been with Sanchez Ruiz, that at times we've said, does he have what it takes to see it through on the really big occasions? He had his good mate David Al-Qaedi there to help him across the line in the World Cup of Pool final, which they played so well to win. One thing you would have to say about that great triumph, there were no close finishes. So this is a test of a different sort.
Well, Michael, Carlo had his own little story in the World Cup. Should have been playing with Efren Reyes, the legend. But Efren had visa issues right near the end. They couldn't make it.
7-6.
They couldn't play in the event. And Carlo's not really been seen on the Matchroom circuit. There's been implications with travel. You know, there's still all COVID regulations in certain parts of the world. And to come back here and do what he's doing, this has been special. This match is special. He's special. Where's the cue ball? Well, it's going to be a dry break, but at least Carlo will know he's not left a pot. That is a Brucey bonus. When you hit a dry break, you just look where the balls land, and as long as your opponent's hooked, you can sit in your chair happy.
All of which only adds to the growing sense of frustration Sanchez Ruiz will be feeling. He hasn't potted a ball in 4 racks now.
Where do you roll the cue ball? You can't roll over to the left because you'll leave a pot. I think he's going to try and tie the 5 up, is it? Play off it thin.
Carlo, it's your option.
Yep, not a bad effort. Sometimes the players, they look for things like that. He can pot the 1. We know that. Cue ball's running forward. It's not going to be on the 2. He's playing the shot though, so he's spotted something. Well, he did go for the pot. And he's got away with one there. He has got away with one there.
Fortune has favoured him a couple of times now in this massively important rack.
And this is just adding to the drama, isn't it, Michael? This is just part of the game. This is where the tension, this is where it all builds up from, things like this.
Please.
Well, with a format like we've had this week, when it starts off the first few days, it's just an endless cacophony of noise, just balls clicking and being potted and being racked everywhere you look. And then you get down to this final day, only 1 table left, and everything suddenly goes very, very quiet, punctuated only by the cheers, which have increasingly been ringing out for Carlo Biado over the last 20 minutes or so.
Well, he's going airborne. He's going airborne. What a shot Francisco has pulled out there. That will be going viral.
Fans of Sanchez Ruiz will be pleased to see him puffing out his cheeks there. That's given him a little bit of a boost. Quite a way to end a run of 4 and a bit racks without potting a ball. Now, what can he do with it?
Oh, that's another good shot. And he's developed that purple 5 that he initially tied up at the beginning of the rack. He's had to sit and watch Carlo win the last 4 racks. He's come with a jump bank from nowhere. A tricky pot in the side. This is the type of shot you can miss though. He needs to stay still. He's known to move his body a little bit on shots. Oh, he's feeling good here. This is phenomenal. What a response this has been.
And what a change in his whole demeanour. He looks completely re-energised in the space of a couple of shots. You've got to pull out shots like that at times if you're going to win these big titles. But just as important really is when you then find yourself in positions like this. You know you should see it out and win the rack. To keep your composure, shot after shot. That's all part of the package.
He was in all kinds of problems, Michael. Carlo went for the pot. missed it, got lucky, and if you could have took a picture at the start of this rack, you would not think he would have cleared the table, would you?
Well, when we went to the last break, I saw him walking out of the arena to go and compose himself, and he had a very concerned look on his face. As I said, there's a particular kind of pressure which comes with suddenly facing the prospect of not winning a match that you should have done.
Sanchez is a unique player, isn't he? He makes you feel on edge. The 7 ball took a bit of a wobble.
I think that may even have helped him a bit, because I saw him have a little smile. All helps to break the tension that's been building up.
Francisco Sanchez.
But after 4 racks without potting the ball, what a turnaround from Sanchez Ruiz. One of the shots of the tournament to get him off and running. Followed that with a tricky pot into the side pocket, and from there it was a matter of getting the business done. And that is perhaps the most significant rack we've seen here all week, because this was slipping away from him. He hasn't won it yet, not by any.
Thank you, Rec 15.
So we haven't seen the Sanchez Ruiz break for a while. 2 of his last 3 breaks came up dry, and he hasn't run out from the break since all the way back in rack 6.
That nasty little flick nearly sent the cue ball in the pocket. It stayed up. It's okay. I think if you'd have asked Carlo 30 minutes ago, though, 7-2 down, would you take being 8-6 down? And he would have said, of course. So he's going to be happy in his chair as well. He's made it a game. He's back in this match. Yeah, it's just looking at both sides of the 2, just seeing where he can roll the 2 and where the cue ball's going to go.
Called.
He could roll the 2 on the bottom rail and use the 9, but it doesn't seem to offer too much, does it? And it's not easy to judge the speed of that shot. If he bumps the 2 into the 7, tries to get the cue ball behind the 5, that's no guarantee. I think he's chipping off it thin, trying to use the 7 ball. Yeah, he will have known it's not easy to get the hook, but he's just trying to stay relevant in the rack.
Extension, please.
Well, he's looking at Summit. He's low down on the table, and usually when a player does that, I think it means they're looking at the pot, doesn't it? Surely he's not going for the pot here, is he? Well, he has gone for the pot. I'll tell you what, if the cue ball holds up, that is scandalous. That is absolute scandalous. What a shot he's played there.
Well, we saw a contender for shot of the week from Sanchez Ruiz in the previous rack. And This has got to be in there as well.
That's just the audacity to take the shot on. You need to slap, man.
Seems like the 2-ball is proving to be so pivotal in almost every rack at the moment.
There's not a chance when Francisco played to safety. He will have known he's not guaranteed to get the hook, but there's no way he would have thought Carlo's going to take on the pot. These last 2 racks, Michael, they've been sensational. This is just like we're watching a rerun of last year's semi-final from Carlo. He was down big in that match against Naoki. He come back and won. He's not won just yet, but he's staying in this match. Cue ball maybe bounced a hair too far on that shot. Just means he's got to bear down a little bit. Watch the cue ball here. Oh, but he's missed the 8. It was all caused because the previous shot, it bounced off a little bit too much. Maybe he should have gone a couple of rails. He decided to try and float it in.
Well, from 2-1 down, he lost 5 of the next 6 racks. Came charging back, was 2 balls away from responding by winning 5 of the next 6. But it's a match of big moments so far, and that could be the biggest of them all. Because just when it looked as though Biado was going to be coming out to play the next rack and draw level for the first time since he lost the opener, he missed the 8. Sanchez Ruiz potted it and has added the 9. He's 3 clear once again and closing in on a place in the final for the very first time. It's 9-6. He does have to put those events of the previous rack out of his mind here. All assuming, of course, Sanchez Ruiz gives him a chance. No break and run for the man from Spain since rack 6. What would he give for one now?
Well, he deserves his chance for the match, and he's going to get it. The balls are there. Carlo's missed a big trick there. The 8 ball is going to come back to haunt him.
It's been such a story of facial expressions and body language. Biado looked all over the place, weighed down by the potential history of retaining the title early on in the match. And then once he got a couple of racks together, he looked completely energised, and Sanchez Ruiz looked as though he was feeling a bit panicky. And then he pulled out a great pot, and he needed it most to reassert control of the match. Within a couple of shots, he looked a different player. And now, after the events of rack 15, it's Biado sitting there looking absolutely crestfallen. Sanchez Ruiz knows what's on the line here. Just 2 more racks needed. And a reminder, he will go top of the standings in terms of the world rankings if he gets through to the final.
Yeah, what a timely break and run this is going to be to get yourself on the hill. Looked like Carlo was going to pull to just 1 behind, and then literally just 10 minutes later, it looks like he's going to need the last 5 racks of the match. The 8 ball miss was, well, it's going to prove to be just so costly, you feel. Can't afford to miss them type of shots.
This is the beauty of winner breaks, isn't it? Because he knows over that shot, if he misses it, if he doesn't close out that rack, that he may not get back to the table in the whole match.
Yeah, I just feel like with the winner break, it offers up, it always offers up that little bit of drama.
Sanchez Ruiz has had a couple of hill finishes already on his way to this semi-final. He doesn't want to go through that again. And now, all of a sudden, he's back in quite a comfortable situation. He's on the hill. He needs 1 more rack to go through to the final. He leads Carlo Biado, the defending champion, by 10 racks to 6. He won't have done, of course, Carl, but Biado is sitting there looking like someone who's almost accepting defeat now. Like Sanchez Ruiz was confirmed for his Mosconi debut earlier in the week.
Francisco Sanchez Ruiz is
and ever since then, everything has been about trying to win the US Open, the biggest title of his career, just about the biggest there is in the sport. 1 more rack would put him within 1 win of achieving just that.
Here comes the 2 ball. Other than a 3 ball combination, he's not going to be in the final just yet. I noticed in the break, Francisco went out to clear his head and just gather his thoughts, and Carlo stayed in his chair, and Usually that means it is a sign of resignation when a player just stays there. You're thinking, what have I done? How did I miss the 8? How did I not clear up? And it was after that big shot on the 2 ball as well. Safety shot coming up. Trying to get the cue ball in behind the 9 as well. And he hasn't done that. He's left a window here. He can get through the purple and the red ball.
So how much fight has Carlo Biado got left in him?
Well, the thing is, he's got to get chances. That goes without saying. Obviously, we know that. Is it hard enough? Kind of. But if Carlo can just pinch this rack again, we said before, Michael, put a 2-pack together. That's 10-9. You know, realistically, Francisco could lose this match. We know he can lose without even having a shot because it's winner breaks. But the break's a little tougher now. That's the reason we've implemented that, to try and stop things like that happening. But just a missed ball or something, and we could be hill easy. Where's the cue ball? It's the wrong line. Chance for Biado. Not easy, but it's a chance.
Seen a few big shifts in momentum in this match. Carlo Biado needs one final one, and it's got to start here.
Extension, please.
Is he trying to pop the 9 as well in the same shot? He is, and he's
made it! We could see him eyeing up the carom. Well, that's the sort of fight he's got left in him. And we still have a semi-final here. And boy, did that get the crowd going again, just when the match looked to be fizzling out.
It's easy to say from your chair, where we're sat, the game looks easy, but he's got to just forget about what's gone on here in the whole match. He's got to stay relevant to the task. You know, he's 10-7 down. He is more than capable of... Let's not even think about winning the match. Get it to 10-8. Get it to 10-9. Give Francisco the nerves, the jitters. Make him think about winning this match. Don't just give it him.
From the slumped figure of just a few minutes ago, suddenly he looks like he believes again.
The 18th rack. Carlo
So he
Biado
needed
to break.
5 in a row. There's
Trailing
one.
by 7 racks to 10.
Two of his last 3 breaks, he's run out from them.
Is the 2 ball going to go in the pocket? It needs to, but it hasn't. Again, though, the main thing is he's not left him a pot. I've been impressed with Francisco's safety in this semi-final. Yep, well done. Let's forget about getting cue ball tight on object ball at this stage. You've just got to make sure you get the hook. The gamble has paid off, kicking the one down bottom, trying to make something happen. It's fortunate. Now he can play a good safety, you know. The pink, the brown and the purple and the red 3 ball are huge targets. He'll get this 1 ball up near the 4. Here it comes off 2 rails. Cue ball comes round. That's job done. So Carlo was fortunate on the kick. Sanchez has just got to make sure he hits the 1. Also, if he comes 1, 2, 3 rails in behind it, he could pot it in the side pocket, and he could also lay the hook back. Well, he's looking at going 2 rails the other way through the purple
Extension,
5.
please.
I don't think this is the correct shot, but it may be the correct shot under the circumstances on this table. The fact that he's on the hill. Carlo would probably go 3 rails the other way. Don't disagree with this route. Just make sure you hit the ball. Yeah, I mean, make something happen. Something has happened. That's not bad. I know the 1 passes the 8, but he has got awkward cueing, Michael. This is horrible, this type of shot, isn't it?
And about 10 times more horrible when your opponent is on the hill.
The young Spanish man feels it's destiny for him to win this title. Why not give it a good old whack?
Extension, please.
Chances in terms of getting this close to winning big events like the US Open and the World Championship aren't going to come around that many times in most players' careers. Feels like Sanchez Ruiz is having his biggest ever year. This might be the best chance he'll ever have.
Playing it in the side. Oh, it's gone in the centre pocket. It didn't wobble. It didn't fake its way into the pocket. It went straight in the middle.
He looked resigned to defeat almost about 10 or 15 minutes ago, but the carom sent the 9 ball rifling into the corner pocket in the previous rack. Just seemed to change his whole outlook. He really delivered under pressure there.
I don't believe he played it that way. He was trying to come off the rail. Yeah, he was trying to come off the rail and back out into the square, the break box area. So he's been a bit fortunate there. He's feeling it. Of course he's feeling it. When you miss balls, it makes you feel worse. You think to yourself, well, how have I missed that? It puts a weird pressure on your shoulders.
Yeah, so as I said, managed to rise to the moment a couple of shots ago. And now we can have a very different looking contest again. Fell 4 behind. If he wins this rack, he'll have halved that. And that really close finish that, as I was saying, Sanchez Ruiz really would want to avoid, suddenly looms on the horizon once more.
I think there you can see, Michael, the 8 ball does pass the 9 ball. Yeah, that angle there tells us it definitely goes, because I've been looking at that for a few minutes thinking, does it pass? But it does.
You know, this was such a big part of why he became US Open champion last year. We saw that particularly in the final against Lucius Yap. He just doesn't let go.
Carlo Biado
And he's still punching here. Sanchez Ruiz is still stuck on that hill. It's 10-8.
I know it's all ifs and maybes, Michael, but if Carlo would have potted that 8, we could have been sat here at 9-9. I mean, we'll never know, obviously, but we could be sat here at 9-9. But maybe the sport of 9 ball wants to throw up a different story for us. He's got the break.
know, as we were saying earlier, we've not seen him in these sort of events this year. He's had travel issues. So really he's been absent from all these wonderful big scale events, all the new ones and the World Championship tournaments like that throughout the year.
Trailing 10-8.
And he's the reigning king of the US Open. There's never any question about him being here to defend his title. And that dream is still there. Nick Varner, Mika Immonen, Darren Appleton, Shane Van Boening, the only players ever to have done it.
Oh, that is a good break. Under the pressure, that is a good break. He deserves a shot. Where's the 7 ball going? Let's keep an eye on the 7. I just want to have a little look here because it looks like it's sat on the point. The 5 ball is in a good position. If the 7 doesn't go, he may flick it off the 7. Yeah, it looks like the 7's on the point, but the purple 5, he might be able to flick it off that ball. That is one of the worst positions for a ball to land. He could risk going round the back of the 3 and using the 3 as well. That is an option. He's not played that, so he's obviously using the 5 ball. But he could have maybe held the cue ball. There's actually a trick you can do when the ball's there in a pool room. He's not going to do it here. You can whack the 7 really hard into that point, and the pocket swallows it up. But I don't think I've ever seen it done in a pro event. Certainly not on TV.
Certainly not. We go back to the wall in the US Open semi-final.
Speed looks good here. That was the key there. It was all about speed. Maybe another roll would have made this a guarantee. This is insane stuff. You just don't believe these things can happen on a pool table. Yeah, I mean, he's not moved it great, but he has moved it. The problem is he's got a massive angle on the 6. So he's going to have to... Well, he's not out here. This is tricky now. He wanted the 7 to move away more. Well, what's he going to play here? Cue ball might end up spinning on itself here. If the cue ball hits the point, it could spin and stay there. I don't know if the scratch is on. This is actually worse than the 8 ball he missed earlier on. Watch the cue ball. Yeah, it span on itself. It hit the point. It turns over and you can't get it away from the rail. But this is a test of nerve, this shot.
Oh, yeah. Delivering under pressure there on the 7, as he has so many times in his late rally.
How's he going to play this one? Is he going to risk floating it in, or is he going to pound it a couple of rails? I just don't know. Digging down, he's playing for the 9 in the left centre, or the same pocket. Oh, he's done well there. He's done well there.
Well, this is absolute class. Time and time again, he's risen to the moment in the latter stages of this semi-final. And it's a semi-final which he refuses to let go of. Anyone's match now. He's only one behind, and he'll be breaking with the chance to make it a hill finish, Carl.
There's no break.
This is incredible. The crowd, it's so loud in here now. They want a final rack shootout. We want a final rack shootout. There's probably only 2 people in the whole room that don't, and that's the World Cup of Pool champions.
Yeah, David Arcady has been sitting. I've got 3 of those on
Carlo
the
Biado
board.
to break.
And once again, all the momentum is on his side.
Yeah, and it's the fact of, let's not think about needing 2 more. It's the pressure he's put over to Francisco. That's what is important. Again, unbelievable break. Where's the 5 ball going? He's got a shot on the 2. He's got a shot on the 2. He's got an angle to get over for the 3. This is a chance. This is an actual chance. He'll have been watching the 5 ball because it was rolling over to a similar spot to where the 7 was in the previous.
Such a lack of hill-hill finishes since we got down to the single elimination last 64 stage. We had none at all in the last 16 yesterday, none in the quarterfinals last night. If you are going to get one, save it up for the semi-finals.
All the years of playing big games in the Philippines over the years. He's played some monster games against Efren, Pagalayan, Orcolo, Shane. All for this moment. This is what it's about. The final, Michael, of the European Open was a classic. Shane missed a ball in the last rack to deny the crowd of a hill-hill classic, a final rack shootout. Let's hope Carlo doesn't rob these fans of that. 4 balls away to tie the match up.
This is a man who looked beaten. You wouldn't expect it of a great champion. He's been world champion as well as winner of this title. And that was the impression he was giving. But once he started the recovery, his whole demeanour changed completely.
That was a good shot as well. It's easy to go 2 rails and overdo it. Even though he's won this tournament, it doesn't take away the fact that he's going to be feeling nervous. The adrenaline's there.
Well, when he was leaning over that 8 that he missed a few racks ago, you could see he was trembling ever so slightly. We were watching him from behind the shot. Francisco Sanchez Ruiz has come through 2 hill-hill finishes already in this US Open. He's going to have to survive another one, but will he get a chance? Carlo Biado has won 4 in a row.
Well, I don't know how. I really don't. But you're right. He has. He's tied the match up from nowhere. He looked to beat a man.
An apt moment to remind you of all the context here. Carlo Biado looking to get to the final and set up that chance to become only the 5th man ever to have gone back-to-back in the US Open. And that young man from Spain, 30 years of age, dreaming of winning it for the first time. And of course, if he gets through to the final, he will go to #1 in the live Nineball world rankings. But first, he's got to have a chance. And for the moment at least, destiny is in the hands of 38-year-old Carlo Biado.
again. What a break he's played. What a break. He's got a shot. But the 4 ball, he's tied up. He's potted 3 balls on the break. Well, he's going to have to come with something here. I think, on reflection, I'm sort of glad he's not got an easy finish, because that would be harsh on Francisco.
Down a bit, please.
I would like to see both players shoot in this rack. Well, what do you do here? What do you do here? He's not even got a bank on the 4. I don't think he can land anywhere to bank it. Can he land near the bottom end of the table and play a good safety? Oh, okay. I presume he was playing safe.
Well, you're going to get your wish, Carl. We are going to see both players shoot. But what can he do with this? With the 4 tied up, as you say.
Yeah, I think he's got to just take a gamble. I'm a bit bemused there. Maybe he played the pot. Maybe Carlo played the pot and tried to move the 4 out.
Extension, please.
Anyway, what's Francisco got? It's tricky to play this with a high ball and come down table. The cue ball will spin the opposite way off the top rail. So that's awkward. Okay. What's he spotted? What's he playing? Because there's hardly any balls left, it's always awkward to play into areas to give yourself the best chance. He's gonna... Yeah, I mean, there's not much he could do, the young Spanish man. I mean, there's no right or wrong in this situation. He's just seen a 10-6 lead vanish in no time.
Yeah, of course. You didn't have a shot yet.
Shot clock in the final rack is... It's a little harsh as well. You've got to think quick. It's not easy to think quick. He's playing off this thin. He's trying to use the 9 and the 7. I think he's left a piece of this. I don't know if he's left a piece for the bank. Maybe he has.
One thing which has really made this such a spectacle is the way neither of them have been hiding their emotions at all, and you saw Biado's fingers running there as he was trying to will the balls to fall in his direction.
Yeah, he's going up towards the 5. Trying to use the 9 ball as well, so that's well thought out. Good shot. Carlo can kick off the back rail. But what do? You kick off the back rail, there's no real cover. Cue ball could squirt over towards the 7.
There is David O'Cady. Looks every bit as nervous as his great mate.
Please.
Yeah, I think moving forward, I'd like to see the extension be removed on a final rack decider. The game of pool's not a long game. You know, a rack doesn't take that long, and you don't want the players to be rushing at hill. He's going to try and pot this ball. And he's left it. This is your chance. This is all you wanted. Francisco Sanchez Ruiz has got his chance.
And he is 5 balls away from getting in to the biggest final of his life.
He's only got 10 seconds left.
He was 7-2 in front. The defending champion came charging back at him, close to within a rack. 10-6, Biado, as we've said, looked a beaten man. All the momentum was with him. Sanchez Ruiz must have been wondering, would he get any chance at all to salvage the situation? A couple of balls ago, it was presented to him. Well, that's what you call untimely.
Well, he's only got 5 seconds left. Yeah, good shot.
Such a year for him. World Cup glory with Spain. UK Open final after a great win over Van Boning. He's got the Mosconi Cup to come. And now he has this ball to get through to the final. And somehow he has survived just about the biggest test he has ever faced on a pool table. Francisco Sanchez Ruiz has held off the charge of Carlo Biado. The defending champion is out. FSR is through. He wins 11 racks to 10.